Show me your ways, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me. For you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. And now, for adults only, is Reverend Sue.
Got joy in my soul. God is in control. I got Satan on my trail, but I'm singing all is well. He's attacking every day, but I'm watching while I pray. No matter the attack, I won't turn back.
Good evening. Thank you once again for joining Sunday Evening with Reverend Sue. This is an overview to look at cultural upbringing and attitude about intimacy and older people. The secret lives of 65 plus. Our guest today is Damon Mace, and he's an entrepreneur that specializes in audio, visual, and IT and consulting. The thing about Mr. Mace is that he has an opportunity to work with all ages, from children all the way up to, I think, about 102, 103, maybe older than that. So he is involved in the conversation. He's involved in music. He's involved in just his work, just IT. He sees, he talks, he feels. He is the type of person that has conversation with so many different people. So it's an opportunity to welcome him today. And the title again is The Secret Lives of 65 Plus. Why do we choose this? Because there are 70 plus 8 million baby boomers here in the United States, born 1946 through 1964, and the millennial generation, born 1981 through 1996, 72.28 million. So it goes back to, what about our senior 65 plus? Our senior 65 plus, understanding the role of culture in our lives helps us more clearly see our seniors as active, valuable members of our community, of our communities, of our country, of our neighborhood, of our people we run into every day in the store. Help us to understand that. Because the thing is that seniors, and we're talking about 65 plus, have their own intimacy of life. And so often as seniors, we keep those lives private. So why do we keep them private? Why do we keep them private? So Mr. Mace, yes, thank you for joining us today to talk about the secret lives of 65 plus. Now, we know you are not 65 years old. However, you're a young man, you're in our society, you communicate with so many different people. How do you think when you think about a 65 plus? Valentine's is here for the whole month. People getting their cars and their flowers and everything ready and ready to do a lot when it comes to love. And here we are in this United States. We're talking about intimacy when it comes to our seniors. You get excited about that? Is it necessary to talk about it?
Again, thank you, Reverend Sue, for having me. And, it's always a pleasure to have conversation with you. Do I get excited about it? That's a very, very interesting question when it comes to 65 plus and in intimacy, because, that's not necessarily my age group. But I think it's a joyous situation. I'm happy to see the happiness and the love that 65 plus still going, and men and women are expressing it however they express it. I think it's a very, very great thing.
So you're on the beach and you're having a great time with your family, and all of a sudden, well, you're not on the beach right now, but you're having a great time. So now with your family, you see this couple in the 70s, perhaps, maybe 80s, and they're kissing, holding hands, and enjoying one another. What goes through your mind?
That wow, that the energy, the passion is still alive even at that age. Because I think sometimes when we start looking at things like retirement, and when AARP starts to send their letters out to seniors that that their lives are over, they got to just sit in the house in a rocking chair, put a sweat over their legs, and that's it for them. But it is amazing that the things that are available now for seniors, in terms of, like, let's say, exercising, eating well, doing things real naturally and everything like that, that the energy and vigor is now much more alive, as if it was, when they were in their 30s or 40s. They say, 50, 40 is the new 50 or something like that. So, you see a 70-year-old couple, they got the energy of a 55, 60-year-old couple.
So you're at church, and you do a lot of consulting for, with churches. Yeah. And you see this 80-year-old person, her, and she got this boyfriend. This boyfriend is 60, over 62, right? Okay. And she tell Mr. Mays, "Oh my goodness, I have this boyfriend. I'm so excited. I'm really happy about this." What do you really feel when she says that?
Depending on if she looks like she's 85, my thoughts may be different. But I have seen.
No. She looks like she's 85. You have thoughts different. Why? She looks her age.
If she looks at that, that's what I'm saying. The new 85 doesn't look 85 like, back in the days where you see an older person with a cane and a walker and all of that stuff. They are literally, Reverend Sue, looking much younger and are in better shape and much more healthier.
Yes, but good point here. You're saying at 85, which is a cultural thing now, right, saying that an 85 has to have the walker. The 85 has to look old. The 85
back in the day,
right then.
Back then.
But that's stereotype. That's a myth.
No, I wouldn't say that's a stereotype. I'm just talking about what I used to see back in like the 90s. An 85-year-old in the 90s versus an 85-year-old now in 2022. There's a big difference.
But you don't see there's a myth there that you have already planted in your mind how an 85-year-old should look. The 85 is accepted in our society if the 85 looks 70, or if the 85 does not have a walker. That's planted already in your mind and others' mind, because that's the picture that you have. But it's okay if you're 20, if you're 30 and you look 30, it's okay.
Okay.
But if you're 85 and look like that, whatever we think 85 should look like, you have to look younger.
Well,
I'm just saying, not necessarily you, and I'm not picking on you as my guest. I'm just saying the mindset, the cultural that we have in our society, even today. Although, yes, we are living longer, but yet there's still that myth there when it comes to aging.
Well, I think, one thing that I've learned, even, in class that, when I took a homiletics class, it said truth is progressive. So right. What I'll say is that life and everything in life is progressive. So the way that seniors were back in the 80s and 90s is way different than it is in 2022, because things have just progressed so much more. When you talk about better health choices, when you're talking about staying in shape and all of this stuff. So that stuff plays a factor in how people feel and even look today. So, like, for instance, you look like you're in your 50s.
But I'm 45. Only kidding.
But no, but that's what I'm saying. Just the way things are today, that things have just progressed for everybody. Like, even when you look at things like athletes, how athletes used to train back in the days, and then the athletes of now, just the different ways that they can train, build muscle. They're much more faster, stronger, more agile and everything. That's just the same thing for people as well. So again, an 85-year-old lady that I've seen, In my day in 2022, 2021, 2022, in churches and just out in the street, they do not look like they're 85 whatsoever. So now my perception has to change with the progression.
Is it also because of marketing? You're talking about 70 plus million baby boomers. So now from social media perspective, the marketing is different because they weren't market during the 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So it's getting better now because it's such a large group, and the benefits of retirement is different than their children. So they have the money. Some of them have the value of their homes. They have more than sometimes more than their children. So from a marketing standpoint, it still goes back to, I think, the culture, the mindset. So now we're beginning to see more positive marketing relating to the elderly. We don't see that the grandmother sitting on the porch with the knitting, or sitting on the porch and just with a rocking chair. We don't see that now.
Absolutely.
So our minds is changing for people like us to get the information out there from being a gerontologist myself, to be positive about what we say about our elders. I think that is helping our society. And going back, another thing is that it's also helping us in our churches, because we do have leaders online. As far as our churches is concerned, the population is there, the aging population is there in the churches. So how do you think from a church perspective, and you work with churches and other organizations, how do you feel on how churches can continue to promote that positive, the cultural of our aging population?
I think that churches should treat them the way they treat everyone else and give them the
From
option.
an intimate perspective, we're talking about the secret lives of 65 plus.
Well, a church
perspective.
Sure. A church, again, I think can treat them the same way they would treat the singles young adult ministry. So for instance, if you have a single young adults ministry, don't just make it for young adults, make it a singles ministry with, the age is open. So if you want to come as a senior, if you're 75, 65, 75, and you want to come because you're single, and I think the churches should really, encourage, hey, listen, this thing is open for everyone. This is just not for, 21 to 40. No, this is open for everyone, and treat them as if they, exist like everyone else exists. Don't just treat them like, oh, that's Mother so-and-so, Mother Davis. Be careful. Don't be too loud. No, give them the opportunity to dictate how they want to be treated. Don't assume they want to be treated like an elderly, get them a bag of yarn and let them knit and crochet a blanket or something like that. No, give them the opportunity to tell you how they want to be treated. That's one of the things. People can teach you how to treat them.
So if you had, say for instance, because of the age difference, do you see that elders would perhaps want to talk about something different than someone 25 years old?
I think so, because they've lived longer than a person of 21 years. So they've been, if a 21-year-old wants to talk about intimacy and being physical, and then you have a 70-year-old, they've had 3 times more experience. So it's like it's like talking about something that they've already known. It's like I don't need to talk about that. I mean, I've done that 3-4 times over. It's I still like to talk about it, but that might not be at the top of their list. Like, so
is that why sometimes that they do separate, where they have a senior or a young adult single ministry, and they have an elderly senior single ministry? I don't know if too many churches have single ministry for elderly, to be honest. Right. I don't. Could be something to do.
I think churches assume what seniors want versus putting it out there and ask them. I don't know how many forums or discussion groups they may have had with some seniors and say, hey, listen, we want to put something together for, everyone at the church, and we want you all to be involved. How do you all feel about talking about this? Or how do you all feel about doing this? And letting them explain it versus saying, we're going to have a senior citizens group, or put a senior citizens group committee together and we're going to do things for seniors, assuming that that's what seniors want to do. Like we're going to go for little walks and nature hikes and all of that stuff, something nice and calm versus, hey, we're going to do miniature golf. We're going to this activity that you would normally see younger adults at and put it out there for seniors. I think churches sometimes assume what they think seniors want. But again, the progressive church, I don't know if that's the same for more progressive churches. I don't know if they try to isolate the seniors and often put them off into a corner and just say, oh, they're old, so they're not going to want to do this stuff over here.
So we're talking about the secret lives of 65 plus with Damon Mace, the secret lives of 65 plus. Why do you think some seniors really have that secret life? They kind of keep it to themselves because we know this myth, we know there's stereotypes, what we're afraid about what people will say, that finally I'm dating again. I lost my spouse and I'm dating again and I'm 75 years old. So what would some would say in reference to that? Because I say sometimes they get offended because that's why they keep it a secret, because they don't want people to look down on them. They don't want people to say that you're too old to do that. But yes, baby boomers are kind of, I believe they introduce parties. I believe baby boomers introduce a whole bunch of stuff. But when you're older, I think even from your children or maybe your grandchildren start looking at you and say, well, you're too old for that. And maybe that's why the secret lives of 65 plus.
Well, I think to add to what you're saying, I think because of the years on this earth, the wisdom, the experience, I think it's more so the secret lies because they don't feel they have to discuss it with anybody. They're secure with who they are. They don't need affirmation from anybody. They don't necessarily need to share anything. They move in silence. Versus when you're younger, you get excited when you with guys, they might get excited to ego trip about, yeah, I'm dating this girl, I'm dating this girl, I'm dating this girl. Women are like, yeah, I'm going out with this guy. He's nice. He's doing this. Seniors are just like, hey, I have a friend and, we're going out to dinner. They don't need to parade it out. They don't need to put it all out there for people to judge or to comment on or anything like that, because they're like, I'm grown. I can do what I want to do. And people don't have to know. I don't have to broadcast. Mm-hmm. So I think it's from a wisdom standpoint more so.
Is the Viagra the secret source in the 65 plus crowd?
For some, I've talked to some older gentlemen and they're like, hey, things are still working. I don't need Viagra. And then I've even heard they have, things for women as well. So there's some things out here for men and for women. They got this. I saw this advertisement for this product called Hims, and they also have a product called Hers, and it's like female Viagra. So 65 and older ladies, they're gonna mess around and give these younger ladies a run for their money.
Okay, so you know what? You started laughing. You started laughing, meaning that is that a cultural thing coming out? Because now you surprised or you laughing about it? Is it a joke?
No, and I'm laughing because it's not necessarily a joke. It's more so of like, just looking at someone that has, years of experience, have had more experience than someone younger than them, still hanging around, giving them a run for their money and not sitting down and like, like they've lost it. It's not funny in the sense of like, it's a joke. It's funny of like, wow, this is going to be interesting to see.
From the standpoint of protecting our seniors, really protecting our seniors. And we said, well, they're older, we're wiser, we we have wisdom, we don't need to be protected. I think sometimes we throw that word around, the seniors or have wisdom, the seniors, are wise, the seniors or the source of our information. Sometimes that's a myth because not all the time. There is a story that a while back. I think it happened. It was in one of the I forgot which state it was, but what happened was that it was in New Jersey somewhere, I don't know, but right. It wasn't, it wasn't publicized or nothing like that. So basically, the first of the month, there are quite a few seniors receive their Social Security or their benefit, because they're older, they're retired, whatever. So the first of the month, this person left his building, the senior building, and he actually left the senior building, dressed like going out. Well, what happened, he came back with no wallet. He came back without clothes on. He literally had absolutely nothing on. He had lost everything. He went out, first of the month.
Yeah.
He came back nude, not even shoes on.
Wow.
And it's kind of a sad story because you have people still out to take advantage of seniors when we talk about intimacy. Well, how do you feel about that? What can we do? Because again, you're a person who around all ages and people talk to you. That's why you're a great guest, because you hear stories. Yeah. What would you as a younger person, a man, as well as a man, how will you counsel some of the seniors who actually fall for that, because some are lonely, some are living alone, and they give in. So what would you say about that?
So I think based off of that, when it comes to, I start with the senior women. I think the counsel would be, and this would just be totally my opinion, is just if you're a single woman and, you still have that energy, you have that spark in you, and, the older women have been labeled cougars. So if you have that energy, I think you have to, take inventory on yourself and just say, okay, listen, what do I want? What am I willing to give up or sacrifice for what I want? Because I know being an older lady, I may attract younger men who want me to finance them, who want me to pay for this, buy them that and everything. And if that's not something that you want to do, you have to be strong enough to say, hey, listen, that's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm going to do. This is all I'm interested in, and be okay with it. If you're interested in a relationship, you make that known. If you're just interested in sex, let's just be honest. If that's all you want, you just have to let them know. You have to be clear. But as we all get older, we start, things start to, diminish a little bit, degrade. Mentally, we're not as sharp, we're not as quick. We may forget things. We may, fall for certain things and everything. And then that segues into the men. We just get to a place as men, as we get older, we may not be as quick. We may see that young lady that's giving us attention and she's looking for a sugar daddy. Same thing. So, we have to try to be as mentally aware and mentally capable to let folks know, hey, listen, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. This is not what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, and stick with it. And even if they want to invite somebody in to, to make sure that they're standing on those principles and standards, you can invite somebody in that you trust, somebody that that has your best interest at heart, because people are going to do what they want to do, but to not be taken advantage of and to not be in situations where, like the story that you told, guy came, had no money, no clothes. I'm thinking one or two stories. Either he got with a woman that robbed him, or he got mugged. Somebody knew him and, and just robbed him. So with a situation like that, then you got to start looking at, as a senior, hey, start getting yourself some type of training, start getting yourself some type of protection. If you need some mace for women, a stun gun, or a firearm, hey, do it to protect yourself, because people these days don't care how old you are. They can take advantage of you. They'll take advantage of you, especially our seniors.
So senior, maybe if it's necessary, senior must, I think, should stop projecting no interest in courting and dating and etc. If that's what you feel, then you do that. If that's how it's telling you it's fine, it's okay. It's okay, because sometimes you see people and they have energy, they exercise, they're doing great, all these things. And when you date, oh no, don't talk about that. I'm too old for that. So my question would be to that senior is that, why are you saying that? Why do you say you're too old today? Why do you say that you're too old to have your own feelings? Why do you say that you're too old? Because I feel from a gerontologist perspective is that the culture of us have directed you to think that way. And you don't have to think that way. You are a human being. You feel, you have feelings. It is okay. It is okay to go to church and say, I'm dating. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay to say that. And I think the more we are open with that, the more our society will understand that we're human beings. We're human beings, and seniors still have feelings, just like other people have feelings. It's okay to have that person to go to the park and to read books together and to enjoy one another. It's okay to do that. But still today, even with social media, it's most like a joke where you say the woman is a cougar, but the man is not. You don't say anything about the man. We don't want to get into men and women because that's
the men are called sugar daddies. So okay. you got cougars and you got sugar daddies.
Right. So that point there, we started out at the beginning. The secret lives of 65 plus. And that's why some people don't let other people know what they're doing, because at that age generation, I don't have to let them know. So they do it in a sneaky way. The children don't know. And because they feel bad about this or they don't feel great about it. But it's okay. He doesn't have to be called a sugar daddy. And if you think that he is a sugar daddy, their family members need to sit and talk to him and say, listen, don't be the sugar daddy.
But people, Reverend Sue, some people are okay with that, though. That's the other good part about it. Some guys are okay being a sugar daddy, paying a young lady's bills. Some older women are fine with being, quote unquote, a cougar and still being able to keep up with a younger man. And but it's more out in the open. It's more out in the open now in 2022. It is.
But you went back to protecting the population. Does it go back to still today not feeling good about yourself as an Asian person because they say social media say you gotta look young all the time. You gotta be fashionable all the time. You gotta be this or that, because our society still has not accept the Asian population the way that we should be doing.
I think it's go ahead, Reverend Sue.
And I think to that point, that's why some people feel like, I want this young man, so I'm going to pay his rent. I want this young man, I'm going to pay his rent. I want this young woman, so I'm going to do this for the young woman. Is that necessary? And there's somebody to tell them it's not necessary to do that.
I think, Reverend Sue, based off of what you're saying, I think we have to look at, just specific areas that we're talking about. Like here on the East Coast, it's a little more wide open versus out in South Dakota and Iowa, where it may be a little taboo to talk about certain things or to live up to certain things. Out on the East Coast, I see more, and not necessarily saying that this is old, but more gray hair women looking super young and flaunting it and showing their body in their 50s and 60s and even some 70s. I'm talking about showing their body off and really competing out here with younger women, and some of them are putting them to shame. So I think that really just depends on who you are in this country.
Still today, we're gonna go back and forth. I think, and from statistics,
okay,
that research is that this country is youth oriented and still discriminate when it comes to aging. It pretty much every aspect, even with medicine, even with going to the hospital, even with all these things, from being sick all the way down to being healthy. Okay. There's still discrimination there when it comes to aging.
Okay.
When it comes, I understand what you're saying, because lonely senior want to have full spectrum of life. And when we went back and said that they, that you'll call names because you're doing certain things, a lot of times people are lonely.
Yeah.
And they'll pay for it. But if a young man at 40 years old and have this young woman and say 25 years old and he pays her rent, he's not going to say, the society's not going to say he's a sugar daddy. Oh, he's a great guy. Oh my goodness, he's fantastic. He's really taking care of this woman. It's a different turn there. But the older man has to be the sugar daddy. The younger man just saying, he's really nice. He's a nice guy. Oh my goodness, he's great. He bought her, he just bought her a 2-seater Benz. Oh, yeah. He's fantastic.
And I think you're right. Society has dictated a lot of the way we act, react, think, the way we address certain people, the way we address certain things. I think you're absolutely correct in the way that society has dictated a lot of things that we've bought into. Because like you just said, that was a great example. If an older guy is dating a younger woman, he's looked at as a sugar daddy for paying her rent. But if someone her age does it, oh, he's such a nice guy. And that shouldn't be the stereotype. That shouldn't be. That should just be, hey, this is a guy who just happens to have the strength, the stamina, the vigor, and he likes younger women. He's not a pedophile or anything. He's 60 and he has a 38-year-old girlfriend.
And that would be our part 2, women and men. Cool, that. Remember that part 2? He liked younger women. Okay. She like younger men. Okay. But age should not stop senior from enjoying all aspects of life.
Not at
That's
all.
The point. We should not stop senior from enjoying all aspects of life. And another thing is that we're talking about the secret lives of 65 plus. Some seniors secret because of their children. I mean, older children are often the biggest critic of senior parents dating. There's a situation where this man, he's 80, I think he's about 82, 83, and his wife passed about 5 years ago. He has a girlfriend, and his children went absolutely insane. Literally, they had to go to counseling because they hated that much. Now, probably because they think about the mom, but also thinking about he is too old, forget it. You had a wife for all these years. Why do you feel like you have to date? But it goes back to perhaps a lonely senior. It's okay. It's okay to have a friend. It's okay to have someone that you can talk to on your level about things, because sometimes you might want to go on a day's trip, and that could be actually to a beach.
Right.
And then if you're dating a younger person, this stereotype myself, what I'm saying is that you're dating a younger person, 40 years old, 35, 40, and that person want to go to the beach in Miami. Mm-hmm. You just want to go to like a regular quiet beach to sit down and look at the ocean. Different meaning, different interests sometimes at a certain age, because it's just different. You at this age of 35 and you're like 65, you're 65, you just might want to go another place because of your experience in life.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question, Reverend Sue, based off of, an 85-year-old man whose wife passed and he's dating now someone. The kids potentially could be coming from the standpoint of, we don't want you to get taken advantage of, assuming that because you're 85, that you might not be as sharp as you used to be and everything. This person may want to take advantage of you and get the things you have. So that goes back to what you're saying, how society and social media has kind of dictated how we should treat elderly people versus asking them, elderly people, what they want to do, how they feel and everything like that.
Or you thinking about your own interest, and making sure your interest is in tight as well. Some children could be that selfish.
Some children, yeah, they could.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I think it could be a case by case scenario.
And there was also another case where the lady, husband passed, and she started dating this man. They were about the same age, and the children were excited because guess what? Both of them was healthy. They took a little vacation together, and then now the children were free on weekends. So they spent time together, and they didn't have to spend time with their mom. I mean, to be honest, they had a ball. It was. I'm so glad Mama has someone now, because now we don't feel like she's lonely. So it can go both ways. Again, we will do part 2.
Okay.
And we'll be talking about the woman and the man in different perspective. The secret lives of 65 plus. An overview to look at cultural upbringing and attitude about intimacy and older people, which I think is a very important subject, because we have so many people who've lost their loved one or just being alone and afraid what people going to say if they're dating in the church and also out of the church, but especially in the church. Not so quick to criticize a person because that person is 80 years old, that person is older, and think about our elders, that they still want the little card that are coming in. They still want people to care about us. We want people to care about us as older people. And let's not forget that. And Mr. Mays, thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Sue.
For having such an insight when it comes to our seniors, and continue to have conversation with the young people, the young kids, the young people, the baby boomers, and the silent generation, the millennial generation, the Gen Z. You see all of them.
Yeah. And
the good point that I can remember is that when you have single ministry, why not sit down and find out and really get to know seniors? They've been there for 50 years, but do we really know seniors as they age? And I don't think so. So may God bless you and continue to be with you. And we'll see you part 2. And you've been listening to Sunday Evening with Reverend Sue. May God bless you. And continue to pray. And when you pray, get up and do something. Think about how we can make this country better when we talk about our elderly population. May God bless.